I've come for a walk in the beautiful botanical gardens of Sheffield, and I've been thinking about the disciples and how the disciples were able to walk with Jesus, to talk with him, to see his miracles. And it's easy to think, when we think about the disciples, that they had it easy. It must have been so easy for them to believe and be passionate Christians and passionate followers of Jesus. But in fact, when you read in more detail, we realise that the disciples struggled with doubt, they struggled with unbelief, and they failed very often to grasp what Jesus was saying. And in fact, it wasn't necessarily easier for them. The disciples became passionate, courageous, radical people who glorified God and who taught with wisdom and heal people. But all of this happened after they received the Holy Spirit. In John 16, Jesus begins to tell his disciples that he's going to go away, he's going to die, and he's going to return to the Father. And the disciples struggle with this. And Jesus notices that they begin to become sad. And Jesus says something to his disciples that I love. In John 16, verse 7, Jesus says this: "Nevertheless, I tell you the truth, it is to your advantage that I go away, because I will send a helper. If I do not go, he won't come to you. But if I go away, I will send you the helper." I think this is awesome. This is amazing. Jesus is actually saying it's genuinely better for you that I leave and die and go back to my Father, because you'll have the helper. Who is the helper? The helper is the Holy Spirit. We see the helper arriving when we read the book of Acts, and the Spirit falls on the church and they go out proclaiming the glory of God in these different tongues, and God is glorified. Why is it better for us to have the helper? I think there are a number of reasons. Firstly, the Holy Spirit fills every believer on earth. The Holy Spirit can get everywhere, and he stays with us at all times, and he lives in us. And Jesus says the Holy Spirit will guide you in all truth. I think this is awesome. The Holy Spirit guides us in all truth, not just some truths, but all of the truths that are relevant and poignant for our walk with God. He guides us in and helps us to get to grips with those truths. So the Holy Spirit will be guiding. The Holy Spirit brings gifts to the church, and those gifts glorify God. Gifts of healings, gifts of miracles, gifts of prophecy, the gift of tongues. They're poured out on the church. And the Holy Spirit glorifies God by making the spiritual truths of God known to us. So the Holy Spirit has all of these roles, and therefore it's genuinely better for us to have a Spirit-filled walk with God now than it would have actually been for the disciples to walk with Jesus in person. Wow.